This is the specimen of cerebellum. It is the second largest part of the brain and largest part of the hind brain. It lies in the posterior cranial fossa, posterior to the medulla and the pons. From the pons and the medulla, it is separated by the cavity known as the fourth ventricle. This is the cavity of the fourth ventricle. It is separated, the cerebellum is separated from the cerebrum by the tentorium cerebri, which separates it from the cerebral hemispheres. It weighs about 150 grams and its surface bears several fissures and folia. These are the fissures and these elevations are the folia. Now, its features. It has three parts. It has two surfaces, it has three fissures, and it has two notches. Now, first the three parts. It has the two cerebellar hemispheres, two lateral cerebellar hemispheres, and vermis. Vermis has two parts, superior vermis and the inferior vermis. Two cerebral hemispheres are superiorly continuous. This vermis superiorly, it is just like a ridge which unites the two cerebral hemispheres. Inferiorly, this inferior vermis demarcates the two cerebral hemispheres and forms the floor of the vallecula. This depression is known as the vallecula, and on the either side of this vermis, there is a space between the cerebral hemisphere and the vermis is known as the sulcus vallecula. This is the sulcus vallecula on either side. Now, it has three fissures. The anterior fissure, which is known as the fissura primae, this is the anterior fissure which lies on the superior surface, and the transverse fissure which lies on the lateral and the posterior surface. This is the transverse fissure. It separates the superior surface from the inferior surface. This is the superior surface and this is the inferior surface. And the posterolateral fissure. This is the posterolateral fissure. It is the fissure between the posterior lobe and the follicular nodular lobe. This is the follicular nodular lobe, this one, and this is the posterolateral fissure. And this is the posterolateral fissure. It separates the follicular nodular lobe from the posterior lobe. Now the divisions of the vermis or lobes of the vermis, anterior part, anterior to the fissura primae, it has been divided into the lingula, which doesn't possess any lateral extension. Then the central lobule on the either side possesses an extension known as the ala, and the quadrangular lobe is the extension of the culmen. Now, the diclyoid has the lateral extension known as the symplecus lobule. The folium has the superior semilunar lobule, and tuber has the inferior semilunar lobule. After the tuber, there is another division known as the pyramid. The pyramid has the lateral extension known as the biventricular lobule. Uvula has the lateral extension known as the tonsil.